Hey, fellow traders. Well, here's an interesting topic. Bitcoin might be going to zero. Imagine that. We all know that I've always been very, very wary of crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain technology and all that stuff. But I've been looking around at some of the things that are going on in the background that may just have an effect on the crypto, on the Bitcoin effectively. Now, we all know that we've just had an EFT released on Bitcoin by JP Morgan of all people. But Jamie Dimon himself, the CEO of JP Morgan, said,
currencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think of a cryptocurrency as an embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that. And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases, AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe 50, $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So
speculate.
Yeah. Now my last statement, the last time I ever talk about Bitcoin is I defend your right to do Bitcoin. I think, it's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do. So my personal advice would be don't get involved.
My personal advice would be don't get involved.
My personal advice would be don't get involved.
be wary buying Bitcoin. So there's a bit of a question here. I'll show you that a bit later. Not to mention Whitney Webb of Blackrock is talking it down.
Concerns me is that you have, again, this WEF partnership against cybercrime. They link not just Bitcoin in terms of its existence as a driver of cybercrime, but any sort of Bitcoin having any sort of value of significance. Bitcoin having any sort of value of significance.
Bitcoin having any sort of value of significance.
Now, that what makes me think is I've always thought of Bitcoin as not having any real asset value, not really having any link to a reserve or anything to that effect. Because as you all know, as if you have the dollar or another currency like the pound or whatever the case, it's linked to the country's economy. It's linked to the country's reserve bank. It's got some form of value. Whereas, for example, like if you buy a company, it's got a value. It's got some form of intrinsic value. But if you buy into Bitcoin or crypto, they're telling you your value lies in the blockchain technology here. What they're actually saying to you is, go and work out what that is. And if you don't know what it is, what are you buying? And I can tell you right now that most people who are buying Bitcoin at the moment have got absolutely no idea what blockchain technology is and how it works, or what the value of Bitcoin is actually, what it's linked to or how it's linked. Now, I have to accept for myself, that definitely it has gone from a very low level to a very high level, and it's gone up. I mean, what's it sitting at now? 60,000 something. And it lay at 40,000 for a while. And there's been people out there calling it going to 200,000 and prices like that. But I'm going to explain to you what I think is happening with Bitcoin and why I think that it could go to zero. But before we do that, just remember, guys, that trading is risky. 80% of traders lose money. Sometimes 99% of traders lose money. And if you don't like losing money, preferably perhaps don't trade. If you don't like risk, don't trade as well. While you're here, go and get my free trade of the day every day in my secret blog. The link is in the description down there or in the bio. It's not trading advice, it's just a trading idea. And while you're there, pick up your free Forex book. It's there, it's on the left in the ads or down at the bottom or in the index, or it could even be in the description. Just go and look for it, it's always there. Enjoy the Forex book, it's for you and it's free from me. Enjoy it. Guys, Bitcoin, why would Bitcoin go to zero? Well, here's Whitney Webb.
Concerns me is that you have, again, this WEF partnership against cybercrime. They link not just Bitcoin in terms of its existence as a driver of cybercrime, but any sort of Bitcoin having any sort of value of significance. Right. So essentially what they say there is that in order to stop cybercrime, you should not just stop people from being able to use Bitcoin as a currency. You should essentially target Bitcoin and drive its value down to zero, because as long as it has value, it's still a driver of cybercrime. So that's pretty crazy. And if you consider, the insane efforts that are technically really illegal of the U.S. government right now to stop, for example, banks from engaging in crypto business, like you had with Signature Bank, for example. I mean, that's totally insane what happened there, and really egregious. If this type of activity continues, which is likely, what we could see could be truly unprecedented stuff, like efforts to completely illegalize the use of Bitcoin as a currency. Now, would that actually be able to work? Would people still be able to get around that? It depends on how they do it, and it depends on how successful this dragnet of surveillance and this effort to completely upend privacy, how it actually goes.
As you can see, she's got a little bit of negativity towards this product, and she's kind of calling it as well. Now, I don't want to show you the whole speech and the whole story and the whole thing, because, it just feels like I'm stealing somebody else's show. But anyway, there's also Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan. Listen to this.
Anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe $50, $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So
speculate.
Yeah. Now, okay. Now, my last statement, the last time I ever talk about Bitcoin, is I defend your right to do Bitcoin. I think, it's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do. So my personal advice would be don't get involved.
So, guys like this are saying that Bitcoin is dangerous, or Bitcoin is not for you, or don't trade my EFT, or I don't know, what are they actually saying? Are they saying don't trade my EFT? I'm not sure about this now. I could go the whole speech. They believe in blockchain technology, whatever that is. I'm not an expert on Bitcoin. How can I put it? I'm a little bit reserved as to whether this is a product that you should be investing in. The thing with Bitcoin is it's not really being day traded as much as it's being invested. Most people are putting their life savings into this thing and investing their money there with the hopes that one day it's going to go from this price to 200,000 and it's going to make them millionaires or give them a pension. And unfortunately, I've seen too many, would we call them scams? What could we call them? These guys that have these investment scenarios where you invest with them, and Sam Bankman and what you call it, Bernie Madoff, and all these guys, they have these companies that you invest in, these investment companies, and you invest with them, and they never really invest your money. They just steal it and they just keep it for themselves and run off with the money. And I've always kind of put crypto and Bitcoin in the same package. If I give you my money and I invest it in you, what am I getting back? They've even got these mining crypto. There's all these servers mining crypto, and I've always wondered, what are you mining? You're not digging a hole in the ground and getting some gold out and giving it to me. It's literally fresh air, guys. But what I can see happening, and my reasoning behind this, has got nothing to do with all that, and nothing to do with the fact that it might be a scam. There's nothing to do with the fact that it might have no intrinsic value or anything to that effect. My big concern is this, and you guys can think about this for yourselves. The governments of the world want to take their physical currency and get rid of it. But they don't want to use your currency or your Bitcoin that's on its own. They want to invent their own cryptocurrency. So in other words, they want to take, let's say it's the dollar. They want to take the dollar and turn it into a digital currency, which is no longer physical. And then that'll be your digital currency, which will have a value linked back to the Reserve Bank, as the dollar is now, linked back to the economy of the world, the country, etc. Problem being, Bitcoin has to be disposed of. They have to get rid of it somehow. I'm pretty sure that's what they're thinking. And that's my thinking, is they're going to try and drive this thing to zero. Now, the mere fact, and I don't want to accuse anyone, but the mere fact that JP Morgan got involved in this and created an EFT just gives me a little bit of a worry and a little bit of insight as to where are they going with this and what are they actually doing, and are these guys actually trying to drive that down to zero so they can have their own cryptocurrency or their own form of currency in the world that's going to be put out there? I know it's a bit of a conspiracy, but if they do this, their number one plan will most likely be to get rid of the other cryptos, their opposition, get Bitcoin to go to zero, and then they can put a proper currency in. There you go. Why would you want Bitcoin to run concurrently with your digital currency? You don't want that if you're a government. So be aware, be wary. Bitcoin is something that I will only day trade. I will not invest in it like most other people will. I prefer not to invest in something that I'm not really sure of or really confident about, because I don't know what it's going to be in the future. Lots of people will tell me they've made so much money out of it, and I'm so happy for you. Actually, I'm actually really pleased you did make a lot of money out of it. I think it's fantastic that so many people made money out of this product, and I'm stupid because I should have probably invested in this product when I was younger and I would have made a fortune. But back then I was as wary as I am now, because I just don't trust things that don't offer me something in return factually, not as a, how can I put it, a fresh air sort of whim, like this might happen thing. So at the moment, what we're saying, I can't possibly call how Bitcoin's going to go. I can't possibly tell you what's going to happen, because as you know, trading's a 50-50 game, and we all agree that no one can tell whether we're going up, whether we're going down, or what's going to happen next, particularly on a product like this, because it's not linked to any real economy. It's just buyers and sellers, a willing buyer, a willing seller. That's all Bitcoin is a willing buyer and a willing seller, so that the buyer believes that it's going to be a great product that's going to go up, and the seller believes that they're going to make a profit on it, and they're taking their profit, or that it's not going to go anywhere and they need to get out. That's as good as it gets for this type of product. And that's what scares me off, is there's no real possibility of knowing whether it will continue to go up or whether it will just crash down tomorrow. Guys, sorry about the rant. I just thought I'd rant about Bitcoin a little bit today, because it is worrying me. I mean, this whole thing is a little bit ominous, and not sure where we're going with it. But hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to watch the last video. Till next time, bye.